Hey guys, this is Mike from Craft Beer Storm, also founder, owner, brewer at Bear Brewing Company in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Today we're looking at a different aspect of the craft beer business. We have Dave Adams on. He's from Granite State Growler Tours. He's the founder and owner. And what they have are buses that pick people up at a centralized location, and they just bring them to breweries in the local town. In the Portsmouth area, they're also going up to Manchester and out west. But a lot of these brew buses are popping up all over the country, and it's a good way for people to get exposed to local breweries. So we got them on, and let's go. Hey, we're here with Dave Adams, who's the founder and owner of Granite State Growler Tours in New Hampshire. How you doing, Dave?
Doing good, Mike.
Cool. So I figured we connected. We met. I don't know how long ago we met. 5 years ago.
6 years ago.
6. We just turned 4. So our brewery. That's unbelievable. So I think what I did originally is we had the Kickstarter, sort of trying to raise some funds, and then I had I couldn't sell the beer, but I could brew it in my basement, and then we had like an open house, and just we invited everybody in. And I think you came by.
Yeah, we came by and tried the beer,
and then I guess
that bus to a brew fest.
Yeah, and that same day you had a bus going up to the New Hampshire Brew Fest, and
Yep.
it jumped on that, and we went up there, and that was it, and that's how we met, I guess. So, yes, I figured I'd have you on. You promote local, which is great, and what we want to do. And maybe you can give us some background of your story, how you got involved with this, how's it going, where you want to go from here. You could take it away.
Sure. Well, we've been drinking Portsmouth Brewery beer and Smyrna's beer. But then Throwback opened just down the street from our house, so it's kind of a new thing, having a very small brewery, really close by. So we started going over there to check it out, and then about the same time, Blue Lobster, Sea Hag, and Earth Eagle all opened. We started bringing all of our friends and family to all these breweries, and we were joking with a carloads of people. My wife says, Crystal said, you should probably get a bus and take people to the breweries and start a tour business. And I kind of laughed, thinking, yeah, sure, she really wants me to do this. And then she asked me again, says, well, are you going to start this business? And so I thought about it, and it really wasn't my idea. It was Crystal's idea, but it was a good idea. So we started talking to the brewers to find out what they thought about it, because no one was doing it in New Hampshire. There was a bus in Maine that had just started, and there was a bus in Vermont. But no one was doing it in New Hampshire, so breweries really didn't know what to think of it, and they all signed up, and the rest, they say, is history. So we kind of started just the right time. There were only 20-something breweries. 6 years ago we started, 2013. So we got on the ground floor of the nano brewery explosion, and as the craft beer scene in New Hampshire grew, we grew with them, and so a really nice way to expand our business along with all the other breweries. So it's nice to be able to support local businesses and get people to find breweries they may not know where they are, they may not have heard of them. So introducing someone to their new favorite brewery, or introducing someone to a beer style they've never had before, is always a lot of fun for us. So we get to meet the brewers typically, tour the brew houses, because a lot of these breweries don't actually give tours, but we get tours. So it's a nice behind the scenes, a unique and personal experience. I think people really appreciate is bringing someone to a brewery. They chat with the owners, the brewers, or the staff. They make a connection, and they want to go back, and the stories are compelling, and beer is compelling, so they want to go back and check it out. So it's kind of fun for us to share what we know about here in New Hampshire and surrounding Maine and Massachusetts, and share with our guests.
Yeah, I mean, you've been in our brewery a number of times. You usually bring. What are your capacity of your buses?
The buses hold 14 people right now. We're running 3 buses.
So you have 3 buses going all over, I guess, New Hampshire. What are your routes? Like, what are your popular routes?
Our usual range, we operate in between Newburyport, York, Maine, Dover, Portsmouth. It's our general range, but recently I ran a couple of tours out in the Manchester, Concord area. We've done tours in Londonderry, over on that side of the state. We can go anywhere we want for the most part, but I think to get the best experience, we don't want to be a shuttle where we've gone to Portland, we've gone to Vermont, we've gone to Boston. But I think that we kind of want to be more than just transportation to breweries. We want to offer a little something extra. And then so staying in this area with the breweries that we have really good relationships with lets us do that.
Yeah, I mean, and you just focus on the local area, and it's a long journey. Like if you start going out of state, and then you're just driving more than you are like experiencing. Yeah. So like you're saying, you don't want to be a shuttle.
There's other ways you can get around to do that, and it's probably be cheaper than hiring us to do it if you're going to be driving all the way to Vermont. But we're always up for a little road trip, but we're trying to find out better ways to manage tours like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you're doing is great. And usually when you bring them to each brewery, do they get a flight, I guess, or how does that work?
Yeah, it's different every brewery, but typically we want to get them a flight so they can try the different beers. Every brewery manages it a little differently based on the number of beers we get and how they get served. But we try to let them showcase the beers they want to showcase, or if we know something, we hear someone on the bus talking about something that they like a lot. If we know what's on tap, we'll make sure they get it as part of their flight. It's good for us to know what's going on at the breweries, so we can make those adjustments to really make it special for our guests.
It also helps the breweries too. Like you get a flight in the package, but also if they like it, they'll buy growlers. They'll buy bottles and cans, and then you have a huge cooler in the back of the bus, I think, right?
Yeah, do you have a cooler in the back of the bus? I think the shift from growlers to cans, though, has made a pretty big impact on how our guests interact with the brewers. Before, when everyone had growlers only, we didn't sell a ton of growlers. If they were local, they would bring their own sometimes. New Hampshire not being able to fill other people's growlers was a hindrance. But I think that if you were traveling from out of state, you're probably not going to pick up a growler to go back to New York or go back, across country. So we didn't sell a lot of growlers to some of those people. But now that most of the brewers are canning, we see a lot more purchases for people that I don't think would have bought any beer just because they didn't have anywhere to keep it, anywhere to transport it. And now we've definitely changed a lot with the improvement in canning in the breweries.
The canning is a package, that has become very popular, and I want people to move back into bottles. I'm trying to reverse the trend.
Yeah, I think even bottles would be good. I think people would buy bottles if they were available.
All right, good.
But I think that
I feel better. It's just I can't make any money on cans. That's why. I mean, we're a business, so you have to look at the products that you sell, and I mean it's the same liquid, that you get in a can or a bottle, and cans are.
However the brewery wants to manage it, because I know that when bottles are available, our guests will buy bottles, but usually for the smaller places that they don't have a choice in cans or bottles, it's one or the other. But where we like a place like Smiley-Nose where they sell both, people will just buy the beer they want, and doesn't really matter what the package is.
Right. I mean, it's just a package. I mean, we did the cake recently again, did another batch of cake, and I said, look, I want to try to get these out to stores, and so I put them in 22s, and you know what? The craft beer stores took them, and they're selling them.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they will. Yeah. I have no problem with bottles. I think it's having that. I think some breweries are moving away from either it's an efficiency thing for them, or however, if they're not using mobile canning, then obviously better for them if they're canning their own stuff. But now you're looking at buying a lot of cans and machinery.
Yeah. So. I would look into crowlers, though. I have to look into that. That's very popular. It's like a 32-ounce crowler. But once you open that thing, you have to drink it. That's the only thing about crowlers. Hey, it's a can, and those are popular. So you've been around pretty much, New Hampshire. You've met all the brewers. What kind of challenges do you see that they have? They, I guess you talk to a lot of them.
I think it's kind of goes along with the number of breweries. I don't think the number is necessarily a challenge, but I think that if you're opening up a brewery today versus 5 years ago, people, the consumers are more educated, and they're different expectations. So you definitely need to hit the ground running. I don't know if if a hiccup at the very beginning, I don't know if it'd be tough or easy to overcome that with some portion of the beer drinking population. But you're looking at a crowded market, but there's still, even now in this area, there's so many breweries. There's still so many that have their own style and their own types of beers that they have on tap. And I always have a hard time deciding where to go to get a beer, because depending on what's on tap and what's going on, I may choose any number of places. So there's still it's a great to be a beer drinker right now. But I think you're looking for, I would imagine as a brewer, you're looking at ways to be different than everyone else and to make sure that you're relevant, and there's got to be a reason for people to come into your brewery and to stay there to drink beer. So it's, everyone's got activities and charity events and music and other things going on, and how are you going to be the different brewery, or what's different with you that's going to get people in there? So that may be challenging, but
yeah, I mean, you have to differentiate yourself somehow and be unique, because everybody just can't throw hops in hops and beer and just let's just hop it up, and everybody will buy it, no problem.
I think that's one of the things I hear from some of the brewers, is that not everyone wants to make the big hazy, New England IPA. Some people don't want to make that, but they have to, because that's what people want to buy. And they're not trying to not be to exclude people, but I think that you are selling a product to people. You need to make what sells, so that's part of it. But I think that in order to focus on different styles, you're looking at trying to educate people on different styles, and
absolutely
maybe be interested in that. So
it is frustrating, and we do another podcast. We do 3 a week, actually. One is with, we interview brewers or founders or people like you that are movers and shakers in the industry. Then on Wednesdays we do beer styles, which I just take the GABF guidelines and I just go down the list and we talk about a different beer every week. Because there's over 100 categories of beer in that list, and there's subcategories as well. Like I just did an experimental beer episode, and like in the Baltic region alone, there's like 10 different beers that were in the experimental category other, So there's just a huge amount of, and they use different ingredients like juniper berries, or there's a smoked wheat flavor in a lot of them, and so there's just a lot of different types of beer.
That's definitely been one of the most interesting parts of being involved in this. Before we started the bus, I enjoyed beer, but I certainly wasn't very knowledgeable about it, because where I lived prior to moving back to New Hampshire, there wasn't a lot of craft beer available, so I would have a lot to work with. But even after 6 years, I'm still finding styles that I hadn't had before. I'm still finding things that are new, and I don't see it ending anytime soon. So it's been a lot of fun to have someone present you with a beer that I've never heard of that style, or I've never had it before. So I'm still getting new things even after 6 years of running the bus and hanging out with brewers and distributors and other people.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of different people getting into the industry, and some breweries have opened, some breweries have closed, unfortunately, because of different reasons, which is really unfortunate. I mean, they're great guys, but the industry goes on, and it's just a big, it's like an ocean, like you never know what's going to happen. I mean, from 6 months from now, there could be, hey, maybe everybody might go back into bottles, which would be awesome. But or there could be something else, like a lot of, even like Green Flash, right? Like delicious beer, but they went all over the country, and then this hyper local phase hit, and they're like, where's this Green Flash thing across the country? I don't know. I'm gonna have a local beer in my community, my town, there's a brewery here. I'm just going to go there and have one instead. And it's hurt a lot of the bigger guys.
Yeah, I think it is interesting that I enjoy beers from other. I know that when Green Flash left New Hampshire, they had a party of whim, and went over there, and we had some rare Green Flash beers for last hurrah. And I'm all about supporting our local beer community and the local economy. I think that's what people are focusing on, is that people are involved in their communities, and they're, how do I make a difference? And you can make a difference by buying something locally. I think that's certainly a trend and is popular with a lot of people. And it's people that run the breweries are my friends. People that run the pubs are my friends, and I want to support the people that I know, the people I see around town, and that money stays local. So it's a big benefit to do that. And while I will look for the local options first, I still enjoy some of the larger breweries beer that I can have from time to time.
Yeah, so and we like to try to support local too, other brewers, and also local, farm honey, maple syrup, additives to the ingredients. What's the most interesting ingredient that you've seen added to a beer? I mean, you've been all around the state pretty much, or the southern part of the state.
I think it's hard to say. They've had so many, and there's so many neat things that people are doing, and it's usually local. You've got between the meat and the Earth Eagles beers and the foraged ingredients and gruits, or even things that I may not think I like the beet wit, a throwback. I don't like beets. I don't eat the beet, but I sure like them in my beer. So there's interesting things to find there, interesting combinations that are always unique. And I think that's one of the things that I keep an open mind is if I know it's in the beer, sometimes I don't like that ingredient on its own, but in the beer it's very different. So I always give it a shot.
Right. Yeah, cool. So, what do you think about? You say there's a lot of breweries that are opening, and do you think there's still room for growth here, or do you think we're in a bubble? What is your opinion on that?
I get asked that question a lot on the bus, and if you look at the number of wineries in the country, there are over 10,000 wineries, and there's 7,000 breweries. So I use that for what it's worth, but I think that there's definitely room for more, and I think that everyone, the breweries now are kind of like taverns in the old days. They're the center of the community. So a large brew pub, has a lot of people can go there and hang out, and they hang out with their friends, and it's all very local, and it's their center of their community. And so, short of having 10 breweries in one little town, if you could have one in a lot of towns in the state, and you'd still be okay. I think the people will go to their local brewery, but they'll go to other breweries as well. So I'm not sure how that pans out over time, if where that number is or how it goes on. But there's no shortage of breweries opening up. Every time you turn around, there's another one in New Hampshire, but they're also opening up in other places that don't have breweries. So they're opening up in towns that I have to look up the name. I hadn't heard of that town before, and I look on a map.
But yeah, you have to look on a map, right?
Yeah, but I think that if you're not trying to open up and if we had 5 more in Portsmouth, that might be a problem. But if you open up somewhere else, far enough away, then that's your local brewery, and I think the people will go there and support it because it's right there. So I don't know the answer to that question, but we have seen breweries start to close for various reasons, and I'm not sure what drives it. I think part of it is the weird laws that make it, to get over that next hump is a little difficult for people. But I don't know if that there's a bubble will burst, but I hope it doesn't, because I'm enjoying all this new beers.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is room for growth. I think you got to be passionate about it and really want to do it. Brew it. It's tough. I mean, it's not easy. You don't just add powder to water and poof, there's beer. It's a big process, and the smaller breweries, it's very manual, and it's a grind.
Yeah.
Cash flow. You got to worry about cash coming in and going out. But if you got a good beer, people will come to your tap room, and they will support you. And if you're local, that's awesome. You use local ingredients, and you're all the brewers I met. It's a great community too. I haven't seen any other type of community like a business, like where people support each other. Usually it's like they try to screw each other.
Yeah, it's been pretty amazing. I'm an engineer, so I don't come from this industry, and I've been accepted into it, which is pretty fun. Met a lot of really great people in the beer community, and part of the reason I think that these brewers are so successful locally is because they do have really interesting stories, and when you meet them, when I met, started talking to the brewers that I hadn't met to get them on the tour when I first started. I met them, and I was like, these are some really cool people, and I want them to do well. And I think that's what people tell us. We see them at the brewery after they've been on the tour, and after we met these people at the brewery, and we heard their story, and we saw what they're doing, and you could feel the passion, and you could tell what they wanted to do and why they're doing it, and we just want to support them. And I think that's what makes people make that connection, and that's why the people love the craft beer industry, because it's authentic. It's not something that you can go into with a false premise. You obviously love what you're doing and you love your product, and it shows. When you can talk to people at the breweries, that's why the tours work so well. I think because people see that, they make that personal connection, and they want to go back.
Right. It's their life. It's the I'm the CPA too. I do the audit stuff. That really doesn't do a lot for me, but the beer, I can create new beers, use new ingredients. I'm like, what can I put in this beer? Then I'll have a thought like at 3 a.m, and I'll jot it down, and then that's how cake happened. I'm like, someone suggested why don't you do a chocolate mousse beer? I'm like, I don't know, chocolate mousse, it has like milk in it, and my curdle, you got to keep it cold. I'm like, what else can I put in this beer that's creamy, chocolatey, stable at shelf temperature? Like, bang, Oreos. So we experimented with it.
I remember the first time you made that, it sold out real fast. In fact, we bought some of the last ones on one of our tours came through. But I know when I thought it was a great beer.
Yeah. Well, when we first launched it, man, it was crazy. It's out of control. Like, we ran out of it. Like, we did like 30 gallons. We put it on tap Friday night, and then by Sunday morning it was like gone. And then the person who was doing the Sunday shift, she like came in later in the day, like her hair was frazzled, and she was like, "What did you do?" I'm like, "I don't know. Did they like it?" It's like, "Yeah, we ran out of it." Like, that's awesome. So you never know. You experiment with stuff, but you hear stuff like that, and people love it, and then. We put vanilla ice cream in it as well, and people like that too. We give them a spoon. It's like a beer float, and they love that stuff too. So it's good to see people that are happy about something that you're doing, right?
Yep.
Instead of the audit stuff, you do like an Excel spreadsheet, put it on, put it in some folder somewhere, some random drive, and okay, that's great. But so it's good stuff. So I think that you have a great business. I mean, where do you go from here? I mean, you have 3 buses. What are your plans for the future?
Oh, there's still more breweries that we want to go to, so we're looking at adding right now. There's probably 7 more breweries I'm trying to add to our list. We're trying to do different types of tours where we go to breweries, obviously, but we do a lot of corporate tours as well. So some corporate tours involve some form of catering or food or sightseeing. We do a history in the bus. We talk about the history of beer and brewing. So there's a historical and beer-related aspect that we have as well. So we're trying to expand out to do different types of offerings for private tours, since the bulk of our tours end up being private, and those people pick where they want to go, which kind of goes, destroys the tours we have listed, but we can offer a lot of different things. We've hired bands before for tours, so I think there's trying to figure out what other types of things we can do for our guests to make it special for them. I think that the private tour is the way to go with that. I think you're going to give someone something that's because they were involved in deciding where they wanted to go and what they wanted to do, and then you kick it up a notch with our relations with brewers and the information that we have about what's going on in the state and the historical aspect, it makes for a nice package to give to a group of people. But I think trying to just get more breweries on board and expand the range that we operate in. So heading more west, more north. Maybe we do offer some of those longer distance tours as a shuttle service, but we just have to figure out how to make that work and then make sure we have time to do it. Because with those private tours, usually eats up our Saturdays, so we can't send a bus to Vermont on a Saturday because they're all booked for the other tours. So finding that availability, tough part.
Yeah, so and then we talked yesterday about some ideas where we might partner together, because I have Craft Beer Storm, but I'd like to do maybe some events, grab a hotel and have like a weekend-long event. And then, we'd have brewers come in, they can talk to you, you'd have a food pairing dinner, and then we'd have you pick them up at the hotel and you'd shuttle them around to different breweries in the area. Maybe we do Portsmouth, but also there's other towns. Manchester has a bunch of breweries around it, Londonderry, or maybe up north too. Go there and check it out and do one of those events, do like a weekend. So, but I think, I think if we partner, that'd be awesome. But, who would have thought, right? Like 6 years ago.
Yeah, it is definitely interesting that the things that people ask us to do that I hadn't thought of. The weekend packages with hotels is always, it's an interesting thing to do, and we've done a few of them. Another thing that we've done is in-home tastings. So someone has us just bring them they have us come to their house, and they host a beer tasting at their house for like a birthday party, a small birthday party. So we've done several of those as well.
And how does that work out? How does that work?
It works pretty well. I mean, it's not quite the same as a regular tour, but we get a variety of styles of beer. We find out what they like, get some things. We bring growlers, cans. We just bring them to the house, and then we will taste the beers that we brought. We talk about the style. We talk about the brewery, and so there's still a little education and learning aspect, because we're wanting to share that knowledge with the people, with the guests, and make sure that they're aware that, hey, this beer came from this brewery, and this is where they're located, and this is what they do, and this is why they made this beer. This is the style. And it's a neat way for them to learn about beer and learn about their local beers, and then give them. And if they say, "Well, my husband likes this type of beer, but he doesn't like porters," well, guess what? I'm bringing porters, because I'm pretty sure they do like them. They just didn't know, or they had something else that they thought they didn't like. So we bring beers that pushes the envelope for them, what they think they won't like, and make sure that they don't like it, or give them a chance to try something that they wouldn't normally try. But then they're exposed to it, and they may not like it, but maybe we turn them on to a new style of beer they didn't think they liked, which is the whole point of it. Expand your palate, visit these breweries to get these beers and seek them out, so that people have more knowledge about what they're doing, so they feel better about going out and ordering different kinds of beers.
Yeah, I know a lot of people, they see dark and they're like, oh my God, I can't have that. It's too heavy. I'm like, why don't you try it? It's good.
Yeah.
It's a stout or a porter.
Yeah.
I mean,
my favorite thing is to have a black lager at a brew fest. And people, when I pour for a brewery, sometimes say, "What's your lightest beer?" And I pull out the black lager, and they, "Oh, right. Whoa!" And like, oh, wait, that is really light. I'm like, exactly.
Yeah, it's a lager. It's a black lager, right? It's just
so it's, like, a lot of it's perception, or they had some type of beer that they didn't like, or they thought they didn't like, but they really don't know what it was they didn't like. So when you talk to them and you dig it out, the thing that they didn't like, then you can kind of circle back around and get them to try different things and figure out what it is they really don't like, and then find something they do like.
Yeah, it's an educational process, and that's what we're trying to do here at Craft Beer Storm, is just educate people that there's just not, there is a purpose, a time and place for large, mass-produced beer, and, you're at a ball game, or if you like that beer, that's fine, but there are also a lot of other different styles of beer, and also local breweries that are awesome, that you should try. And I think between what you're doing with your tours, you just bringing people to where these breweries are, where they would normally not even go. They don't even know they exist, and now you've turned them onto that, and it's just a good thing all around.
Yeah, I think that having someone go back that's how that's how we measure our success. If someone goes back to the brewery, then we've done our job.
No, I've had a lot of people come back. Yeah, we were on that bus a couple months ago, and I wanted to come back. It was awesome, and I'm like, that's great. It works. It works out well. So, all right, Dave. Well, I appreciate what you're doing with your tours. I think they're awesome. I want to talk to you more about trying to put some packages together. If there are hotels out there in the Portsmouth area, or hey, if you're in Boston or New York and you want to connect with me and we can put something together, that'd be awesome. Michael at BarraIrishBrew.com or Michael at craftbeerstorm.com. Look at the show notes. We got links. Let's talk about it. I think it'd be awesome. But so if people want to take your tours, how do they find you? How do they get more information on your tours?
Beerbus.com, or if you search for Granite State Growler Tours, I'm sure you'll find us. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We're on all of those things. Or info at nhbeerbus.com, general mailbox. We can talk about coming to the area and trying some beer.
Awesome. All right, Dave. Well, I appreciate everything you're doing for the craft beer industry locally. It's I know a lot of brewers. You're connected with a lot of them. I always see you at the events. Like every event I go to, you're usually there. But that's pretty cool because everybody's inviting you in, and they appreciate what you're doing. So thank you.
Had a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's a great thing. All right. Well, Dave, thanks for being on the podcast. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks for having me.
Thank you. Yeah, that was Dave Adams of Granite State Growler Tours. He is the founder and owner, and he's doing good things. He's exposing people to local craft breweries, which is awesome, and that's what we're trying to do here, that there is an alternative to mass-produced beer, and that's local beer. Really good quality local beer. A lot of these brewers put a lot of passion into it, and they're making excellent product, and you should get out there and buy it. And Dave is just exposing you to it. He's making it easy. You get on a bus, and he takes you there. And sometimes it's in your neighborhood. You didn't even know it was there. So, buses like that are happening across the country. So if you do visit like a city and you don't know what to do there, Google it, beer bus, local beer bus, and check it out. Get on the bus. It's a couple hours, and you'll see a lot of different breweries. You'll try probably a lot of local ingredients, and these breweries are pairing with food as well, and it's a great thing. Great way to explore the area. All right, guys, so if you like what we're doing, you like what you hear, you like our podcast, go on to iTunes, please, and give us a rating, give us a review, subscribe, tell a friend, tell 10 friends or 10x, and, just that's the only way we can get the word out there is if you help us out. We want to keep giving you this great content, and I appreciate you listening. I love you guys, and we will talk to you soon. Take care.